Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. I am your host, Should Be Good, and joining me once again is one of my buddies, Jason, a.k.a. the Jastrom from Entertainment Landfill. Jason, how are you doing today?
Hey, yo! I'm doing great.
I like
Thanks
that.
Thanks for having me.
That should be like your little catchphrase. Hey, yo! Like 4 O's.
Hey, yo, Miyazaki.
Hey, oh, I love it. Yes, well, we actually just talked about Jurassic World Dominion recently. If you have any interest, go check that out. But today we will be talking about the Xbox and Bethesda showcase from 2022 here in June. And man, oh man, Xbox came out a-swingin'. I have a full list of games here. I don't know if we're going to go in depth on all of them. We are not, but I do want to talk about a few things and talk about the show in general, which was gameplay heavy. They were moving fast and furious for the most part. And I want to start at the very beginning, if that's okay with you, my friend.
Sounds good.
All right, so we started with a lot of Redfall, which is a game that's coming up and was something they've teased in the past, but finally we are seeing it in action. Redfall is a first-person shooter where you can play alone or with friends, and you get to go around this city in Massachusetts that has now become an island, separated from everybody else, and you are one of a few different vampire hunters, and you are fighting vampires. So think kind of Left 4 Dead in style, except not hordes of enemies, more kind of specialized, more powerful enemies. Jason, what do you think of this thing, man?
I thought it looked really cool. Kind of like a mix between Left 4 Dead and kind of Borderlands type of team-up kind of action.
Yeah, totally.
I love that arcane kind of style that it has. They're very distinct look to their games, and this game certainly has it. And I could just imagine you and I playing this, and it just looks like a lot of fun, especially experimenting with each character who has different powers or attributes, and one of them has a robot. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
One can turn invisible. Mm-hmm. Another one has powers. I like in the trailer, she's narrating and she goes, and I have some crazy powers, but she doesn't explain why.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, what? Okay.
It's like, oh, okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, it was nice to just see it in action, and I think kind of the idea of doing it in that style of Left 4 Dead, but having just like fewer enemies, but that are more powerful or that are more interesting to deal with in a combat sense, is kind of fun because they had this kind of thing where it does seem like these are specific kind of class types with these heroes, where there's like kind of a sniper guy who's like, all right, I'm set up, I'm looking around, I see these targets high up, I'm going to start dropping them. It's not like in Left 4 Dead where it's like, all right, just pick up a rifle and, you know, hopefully this will be good for whatever you need type of thing. So a varied team, right? But they stated a few times, you can play this solo, which I think is a big thing for a lot of these because, you know, maybe people want to play alone or maybe people don't have access to playing with friends. And I'm not sure if it's going to fill with bots or if it's going to you can play alone because there aren't enemies that just pin you down and kill you if you can't have help from a buddy.
That's the one kind of thing in this, like, if we have to use our powers like with each other to kind of like cooperate to do things, like if I'm alone, will the AI be helpful, you know?
Yeah.
That's always the thing with these games because, you know, like Back 4 Blood, I thought the AI was pretty bad with the, like if it was just you and I playing with AI bots, they weren't great, you know?
No. It's rough. It was rough. Anyway, so that was kind of what they showed off first. And to be honest, what I really enjoyed about this whole presentation was the fact that they jumped like right into gameplay and they said that they were just going to be showing off games that were coming up in the next 12 months. And that is what they were focusing on. And they broke from time to time to like have like the developers talk about stuff. But for the most part, this was just game after game showing the actual game, which I love. Or they would show a trailer, they would have a dev talk, and then they'd show gameplay. And I was like, thank you. Because in the years when I was younger and I would see a trailer, my mind would go crazy with all the possibilities. And then I'd see the actual game and I was like, wait a sec, that's kind of rough. But now I can be like,
this about Redfall, Jimmy, is we saw a CGI trailer originally, and I thought this looked pretty close to what they showed in the CGI trailer. It looks pretty similar.
Yeah, which is nice because it's got a little bit of a cartoony vibe. It's kind of like Evolve-ish in that kind of vibe, or Left 4 Dead like we talked about before. Nothing wrong with
Right.
that, but yeah, totally. And when we saw that, it was like, oh, this is a cool CG trailer, but like, what's the real thing? This is the real thing, and looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. And that I think is coming to Game Pass. Is that coming to Game Pass, Jason?
I think it just
I
might.
think it just might. Along with like 95% of everything else here today, I think there's just
Day one on Game Pass.
Game Pass. But yes, let's move on to the next one here. Hollow Knight Silk Song. A lot of people have been waiting for this for a heck of a long time.
Oh yeah, people are freaking out for this.
Coming to Game Pass. Still no release date. People are still like, they're like, but they got to see it. You know, there it is. Maybe they've seen it in the past.
I've never played Hollow Knight, but it does look cool.
Likewise, I've heard a lot about it, and I'm like, maybe one day. But
I've been meaning to get around to it because I like those kind of Metroidvania type of games. I could get into it.
Yeah, and it looks like it's relatively punishing, at least with the melee combat. So like you have to be, purposeful in your movements.
It's got a lot of character, and people seem to love it. So maybe we should try it.
Speaking about character, Jason, this one I probably wouldn't try unless it was on Game Pass, which is going to be. But that is High on Life, which comes from the Rick and Morty guys, and the voice basically just of Morty as like one of the guns. But basically, it's this weird first-person shooter that's set in like a sci-fi world, and you have these guns, but every gun and even there's a knife that have a face that talk to you and make jokes and talk about things. Like I was saying while we were live streaming this, it's going to be very much like Borderlands. I think this game, it's not going to live and die by this, but I hope that the jokes are not constant. Like, once in a while is great, but if it's constant jokes from my gun, like, I don't know, man.
If the humor is funny, then they can get away with it. But if it's just annoying you, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
But I got to say, the knife asking you just stab on stab.
Yes. I was like, this is perfect. Funny. I was like, this is good. It gives you that, like, obviously Rick and Morty vibe, but kind of Adventure Time-ish vibe too. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of fun to be had with this, and I will enjoy streaming this, hopefully.
I gotta say, the visuals are pretty gorgeous.
Oh, yeah. And that's the thing. Like, games like this, I'm kind of amazed because I was like, man, I don't know if this game's going to have that kind of budget. But when they were showing it, I was like, oh, it's kind of Ratchet and Clanky with the guns, kind of weird.
Yeah.
And
it's kind of like a goofy cyberpunk.
Yes, exactly. And you know what? I'm totally on board with that. And let's give it a shot. Like, Rick and Morty has been fun and kind of a game, but isn't Rick and Morty. Perfect.
Right.
I think that'll be fun. I think it'll be cool. The next big thing, and like I said, we're not going to go over every last thing here because they showed a lot, but I wanted to mention this. Man, like Riot teamed up with Xbox, and like all the like you can play every League of Legends champion and like Valorant on Game Pass and all this stuff. That's a big deal. If you could have told College Jimmy that he would have access to every champion in League of Legends for free or whatever, like, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, it took me so long to get these things.
I've never played any of these games. I don't really have any interest in them, but I can see that it's a big deal for people who are fans of these.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, big deal. We got another trailer here for Plague Tale Requiem, which I feel bad because I never went back and beat like the first. Is this the third one? The first and second one?
This is the second game, the sequel,
yeah. Yeah, I played some of the first one, and it's a good game. And one thing I love about these titles is that they're just so specific on their focus and their setting, and I love that. I'm like, they know what they want to do. There's not like we're kind of doing this and this and this. It's like, no. Like, we know what we want to do, and here is what we're doing, and it's cool to see. I really like that.
Yeah, it looks gorgeous, and I like the, it looks like there's a lot of stealth involved. And story, and I could totally get into that. I should probably play the first one before this comes out.
It's good, man. It's good. Push some people into some rats. You're gonna have a good time.
That was cool. Like, shove.
Yeah, and I was like thinking, all right, how is this power fantasy end? It's like with you controlling rats, and that's like the last thing they show in the trailer. I'm like, perfect. Like, I was like, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. It's like Dishonored a little bit. They showed that Forza Motorsport is coming. 2023, in the spring of 2023. Dude, they've traced every ray. Every ray has been traced.
They did. They traced those rays. Man, it looks so good. And like I said, is I'll play this for like a week and lose interest, but it's really it's a showcase.
Yeah, and if you are a gearhead, and I don't know if Joe is listening to this, but they it sounds like not only did they say they've revamped their driving system completely, which they probably didn't need to do, but they did. On top of that, they've added things like they're long requested things like tire pressure and all this stuff, different tire grades and all this. I was like, you can get so specific. So if you're really into this sort of thing, it seems like this is going to be the de facto racing game of racing enthusiasts who like circuit tracks, not like Horizon. This is very you're on circuit tracks.
This is serious racing.
Serious racing, yeah. And
I want when they're showing the trailer and the cars racing and they show thrills or whatever on the screen, I want it to say insane minutia.
That would be good. That would be good.
Lots of details no one else cares about except for car nuts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would like that. I would like that too. But in that same breath, I do want to mention that they did show off what, to me, was one of the highlights of the whole show, was this kind of DLC coming up for Forza Horizon 5, which is this Hot Wheels, they put Hot Wheel tracks all over the world of Forza Horizon, big orange tracks, and people are going upside down and stuff. And I was like,
that looks so good. So much fun.
It's so much fun. It's just man, it's peanut butter and chocolate, dude. It's just such a perfect pairing because Horizon is just a fun time anyway, and slamming that together, it's that's freaking perfect. That is whoever came up with that. Brilliant.
I played Horizon for about a week until I lost interest, but it was fun, and the sense of speed in the game is fantastic. So I can imagine going on those tracks will be so much fun.
Yeah. Oh, very much, very much. Next big game I do want to mention here is Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn.
Yes, that looked really cool.
Yeah, right? Interesting.
I will totally play that.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't tell, is this a Souls-like, or is it more action-adventure-y type of thing?
I kind of got the vibe it was more God of War to me.
Okay,
it kind of had that feeling, you know what I mean? So
you got cool powers, it looks like you got a little fox buddy.
Yep, you're kind of going around a big world. And I was like, all right. And the thing is, to me, it looked, and I'm not trying to disparage anybody, it looked more AA than AAA, and I could be totally off on that. Because it looked like some of the combat when she was hitting stuff, I was like, you can tell, and maybe it just needs more time. But apparently it's coming in early 2023, so
it has potential.
It has tons of potential, and I think it's something that will do well to be on Game Pass. People are like, "Oh, I'll try this out," and they'll be like, "Wow, this is actually really good."
It looks like you have good traversal powers.
Yeah,
jump through little portals and stuff.
I get the hints of God of War, Horizon, kind of this isn't a full answer to those games in any way. But it does feel like Xbox has been we don't have a third-person action game in a big open world that is really hitting the same way as those other games have hit.
I'll play this. You can spend a week playing this.
Dude, yeah, of course. Try it out.
Good times.
Another thing I wanted to bring up, Lightyear Frontier, hanging out in a mech suit, building your own little gardens and whatnot. I was like, oh, it's cute, multiplayer, co-op type of thing. I was like,
that could be fun.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
And it seems like there's some kind of deeper alien mystery going on also.
Yes. I feel like you got to fight. If you're in a mech, you got to fight at some point. I'd like to be wrong, but I think it's going to happen. Next thing I do want to mention here briefly, The Last Case of Benedict Fox, this kind of 2D side-scroller in a Cthulhu-inspired haunted house.
Now, this caught my eye. It's gorgeous.
I think a lot of people, it's ooh, hello, how you doing?
Interesting. I am intrigued.
Right? And it's crazy, I was saying on the stream, isn't it amazing that 2D stuff is still around? You would have thought once video games jumped to 3D that they would have never gone back, but it's no. 2D games, to an extent, are still a big deal.
It looks so fluid and colorful. It just looked it kind of Ori kind of style.
Yes.
What I mean is it's super colorful and gorgeous, but also very fluid action going on the screen.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
I think I could get into this.
Yeah. Speaking of kind of very interesting looking types of games, the next two I'm going to talk about kind of fall under here. As Dusk Falls, coming out on July 19th, which is kind of this I don't want to say point and click adventure, but it has this very specific art style where it's like if somebody moves through a room, it's like 3 or 4 images of them kind of traversing through the room. It's not like, and they have like the video segments of like a car that looks more like a video game, but then like if it's the people, it's like they're hand drawn or kind of a portrait of them.
And this has me intrigued as well. It looks very interesting.
Yeah, this definitely seems like one of those critical darlings, and I think it was already at something and it got a bunch of awards, like a festival. And I was like, okay, that looks interesting. I wanted to bring it up because that might be something that people are like, okay,
like psychological see, if people
drama.
Who are into like Life is Strange would probably get into something like this. You know?
Yeah, it doesn't have like the exact same like fully video game-ness of that, but yes, totally.
But like something like a deep story that involves choices that can change and alter the story. And it said something weird. It said up to 8 people could play this. And I was like, what?
I always get worried when there's like group decision making like that. I'm like,
because it's branching story. And that means you can play it over and over again and come up with something different every time.
Yeah, exactly. Very interesting.
And guess what? This is coming day 1 on Game Pass.
Yeah, man. Like, again, like almost all of this stuff is... next one I did want to bring up, though, along with that, was Pentiment, which looks kind of like it came out of like a medieval like book, right? Like a fairy tale. Like it looks like it's just like all that kind of like very like not stained glass necessarily, but like this interesting art style that looks like it's all just in that book. And I was like, oh, this is another interesting one. I don't know much more about it than that, but a narrative game.
Yeah, looks neato.
Yeah, looks neato, as they say.
Like that, as I'm watching this, I'm like, would I play this? Right? Maybe I would. I don't know. It looks so interesting and original, and Obsidian, I believe, is doing it.
Yeah, it's. I'm like, okay.
And it's going to be on Game Pass. Why not try it out?
Yeah. I wonder if anybody's going to look at this and like compare it immediately to that Plucky Squire we saw recently, where it looks not the exact same, but it's like, oh, you're playing in a book, and then it's like, but then you go into 3D. And I'm like, why is it Pentiment? Let me do that.
Plucky Squire, that was a wow me type trailer.
It shows.
It's like, oh, this looks so cute. What? 3D world?
Jason, I don't know if you ever played Limbo or Inside on
I know of them.
Okay, yeah. Well, the next game coming out from that creator is called Cocoon, where it looks like you're kind of carrying these large spheres on your back and walking them over to places, and there are different effects that come with it. I'm sure there's way more to it than that, but it was a very pretty little trailer, and I was like, I should bring that up for the Limbo and Inside fans out there.
It definitely, that looks very cool.
It seems way more chill than the last things he's done, at least for the beginning here. So
when I was watching the trailer to that, I was like, how do people come up with this stuff? Like, how do their brains work?
Yeah. Oh, totally. It's a lot. Last few things I do want to mention. I'll mention a few things in quick succession here, but then we'll kind of take a few minutes to kind of wrap up with the bigger things. It looks like Hideo Kojima's making a game for Xbox. Have no idea what it is, but it was a big enough deal for them to just show him talking about it for a second, and that was it.
That was hilarious, because it was like, hello, I'm Hideo Kojima, I'm glad to be, and he's like, and it may take a while, and we're not going to show you anything, but I just wanted you to know. Did you see that Kojima, the studio, announced on Twitter, like, just to let you know, we're still working with Sony on other projects, because like fans were getting really upset. Like, you went to Xbox.
Yeah, no, it's like he can work for anybody. It's fine. It's all right, everybody.
It was hilarious that they had to basically announce that.
Yeah. Also, Persona 3 Portable, Persona 4 Golden, and Persona 5 Royal all coming to Xbox One and Series XS and Game Pass and PC. Like, the fact that Persona 5 Royal, which I was thanks to It's My Team's fault, that's his name, thank you team, he told me that basically Persona 5, I'd forgotten about this, Royal is Persona 5 the base game plus most all of the DLC that came with it, which I was like, oh wow. And it just gets me excited, Jason, because that means there'll be people out there who have heard about this game and they could try it on Game Pass and they'll be like, holy crap, this is great, and they'll be like, look at this. And there was a big emphasis for a chunk of this show on Japanese developed games, because Xbox knows it's a problem. Like, we all knew it was something, but like clearly Phil knew it too, and they addressed it, and I was like, thank you. Thank you.
I was waiting for it and it never happened. Like, we're working with Square and Final Fantasy VII Remake is now coming. It never happened. I was just like waiting for it.
People waiting for that, man. I don't know. We'll see if that comes. Like, I think eventually, but that stuff to see the Persona is really cool. I love that. That's great. Another one that popped up I thought looked kind of cool. Erebon Shadow Legacy. It's kind of one part cool. Origami / I was saying Prince of Persia on PS3, where like you're this kind of assassin who you can jump into shadows and traverse through the shadows. And I was like, okay, like a third person action game,
stealthy, kinda? Taking out robots and stuff.
Yeah.
Will this have a deep storyline? What kind of game is this going to be?
I don't know, man. It looked like the tech was really cool. Like that was kind of the focal
visually
point.
It was pretty cool looking.
Yeah. They showed off briefly. This was just a trailer, unfortunately. This is coming to Game Pass, but from Koei Tecmo, the Wolong Fallen Dynasty, which gives me, like, people were like, is this going to be Neo 3? Is it like, I think maybe it's going to be kind of a Dynasty Warriors type thing.
Yeah, like, is this a Souls-like, or is it Dynasty Warriors-like? What is this?
Yeah, which back in the day, I'll be honest with you, I used to play a lot of Dynasty Warriors with my buddy Leo, and we used to have a great time. They were very basic. Like super basic, but we had a good time with it. So if they could do an updated one and change some things, which they've been doing Dynasty Warriors, I think, the whole time, but I would love to see something that's like, okay, let's take that base, but also kind of zhuzh it up.
Yeah. The way I feel like on Xbox when I see a trailer like this, like even if I'm not into it, it's great that it's coming to Xbox, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
For other people who love this stuff.
Exactly. Another thing I do want to talk about, because I thought at first it was its own game, but it was actually just a character reveal, was for my beloved Necromancer on Diablo 4. Finally showing off the 5th and final class, and I was like, thank you, that's wonderful. And they kind of went into a little bit more information about it. They had a cinematic trailer for it, and I was like, is this like, because it looked very much like a Diablo Necromancer, and I was like, is this like a separate game? So they finally announced that final class would be coming, and I was like, all right, this is just Microsoft kind of showing that like this Activision Blizzard thing is moving forward, you know, in one way or another. Yeah. I think this is kind of like this is how it's going to be, even though that's not finalized yet. But very happy to see it.
I saw some people curious, like, why didn't it say it's coming day one on Game Pass? It's because they can't say that yet. The deal hasn't gone through yet. But
yeah, and I saw a tweet
trust me, it will be when the deal goes through.
Yeah, Rod Ferguson, who from Gears of War fame, who's now I think the director over there for Diablo 4, had put out a tweet saying that this would be a full-priced game. So you're right. I think right now the narrative is this is a full price game, and it's going to be on Xbox, also on PC and PlayStation and stuff. But right. I think there's a chance, like a little bit after it launches, that it's like
as soon as the deal goes through, all that stuff's coming to Xbox.
Yeah. So
I mean, that stuff's coming to Game Pass is what I meant to say.
That and PC Game Pass, which I don't know if they tried to marry those two together yet, or
PC Game Pass.
Yeah, which I don't know, because for me, I'd be like, okay, maybe I'll get PC Game Pass for a couple months for Diablo. But that was something I was just happy to see. The Necromancer looks fantastic. Got like a wave of blood attack. Absolutely adore it.
If you have Game Pass for the Xbox, can't you just access PC Game Pass?
I don't know. I think they're different, but I don't know. So I'm not sure. If somebody out there has one or has both, and you can tell us, please tell me. I want to know. But yeah, Diablo 4. Jason, you going to be in on this?
I don't know if I'm really into these type of games, to be honest with you.
Fair enough.
Whenever I see them, I'm just like, not for me.
Okay.
I don't know. Something about that top-down view that I don't know.
Yeah, I hear you. Well,
what do you think?
I am excited about it. I really enjoy this franchise. My problem though is like I'm not the guy who like gets so excited about seeing like the end game, where they're like the end game is basically just like the beginning of the game. For me, I'm like I just don't want to grind for like 80 hours to get like a few pieces of loot. Like that's just
I get scared whenever they say other players could murder you. I'm like, wait, what?
No, you have to go to the PvP zones, is what they were saying.
Oh, okay.
So don't worry about that. But
they could take all of your stuff.
One thing I was happy to see, though, is that I think they did mention that there would be cross-plays And that's great to
Yeah.
hear. And I don't know if that's just for your character, but also like if you're on PC and I'm on console, I think that means we can play together, which is wonderful.
I believe they said that you could do that.
Yeah, so it's nice to know that. And maybe, like I said, you could bring like my Necromancer if I was playing it on PC and for some odd reason wanted to play it on my Xbox with other people. I could do that, but I was like, okay, that's great, because I think the crossplay stuff works really well for something like this, especially when it's not PvP focused. But if you are going to be PvP focused, I would consider like figuring out earlier on like what probably mouse and keyboard are going to be better for you. I don't know, but just keep that in mind. But yeah, I was like, hey, that's cool. And Necromancer is in.
When it's on Game Pass, I could try it and just see what I think.
Dude, yeah, exactly. We could try it out together. Yeah, it's just fun. It's like, it's pretty easy going, and depending on the difficulty you put it at, it can just be like a thing where you just chat and just, rip people apart. But yeah, it's really cool. I was really hoping for a Necromancer standalone game. I really think that stuff like that will come in the future now with the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, where we're going to get things like that, or the Ghost spin-off game like Jason and I have talked about. I really think we're going to start to see more like kind of offshot games of these major franchises when they have not been doing that at all. It's like, or mobile games are the closest thing. And I'm like, like give me a whole other thing, baby. But yeah, anyway. And the last big thing I do want to talk about here today, we finally saw it, Jason. We saw it. We saw Starfield. Oh my gosh.
I can't believe we finally saw it. I got to say this.
Say it.
I watched that presentation over again in 4K today.
Oh.
Did a world of difference to the footage.
Oh, really? That's good.
Because, first of all, Starfield, it was kind of like, I almost think they hit us with too much information in this first kind of, here's what the game is. Where we're trying to absorb it all. Like, here's first person shooter, you're walking around on this train and now you're in a gunfight, and it's just kind of like, okay, but also you can go to the Capitol. It was kind of like, we're just trying to soak it all in. We're not sure what to think. The first thing I thought was like, wow, I didn't know it was going to be this with the gunfighting,
Yeah.
And I was just trying to absorb it all. And I think I've let a day pass and kind of thinking about it. And the thing I'm most excited about with Starfield is the fact that you can customize your own ship. Mm-hmm. You can customize your own base on a planet. Also, you could have NPCs that you hire, that you encounter in the world, and they can come work on your... I think they could work on your ship and your base, I think, if I understood correctly.
I think so.
I'm not sure. God Howard just kind of went over things quickly. But I'm into it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's funny reading people's comments and stuff, what they get hung up on. People get really hung up on the one thing Todd said, and you know what that is?
Oh, I think I do, but you tell me.
We have over 1,000 planets.
Yeah.
And people are like, whoa, time out. Are these barren planets? Are these like planets with barely anything on them or whatever? I don't know the answer to that, but I do know that these games like Skyrim make your own adventure, travel around, find things, explore, get in space battles, encounter space pirates or encounter NPCs. I think we're going to be surprised by just how deep this game goes, and I think we won't be bored.
Yeah, I think so. Looking at it from the gameplay alone, I was like, yep, this is very Fallout in space, and that's not to be reductive. I just look at them like, yep, that looks like for the most part, and that's fine.
That's the first thing I thought. It was like, oh, the Fallout graphics, we're getting those.
Yeah, it's like the gunplay and stuff where I was like, oh, and they were showing like the very first kind of stuff you were doing, and as I was saying on the stream, like I was kind of hoping, and maybe there will be more of this, but it's like if we're on these kind of hostile planets where it's like if I shoot someone in the head once, and it cracks the glass, and they start losing oxygen, and they panic, and they run out, and then you can shoot them, stuff like that. That's what I hope to see in it.
I gotta say that I thought, during the live feed, it looked a little stuttery, framey, and the 4K version looks way better. Okay. So I'm thinking that has a lot to do with the live presentation of it.
Sure, yeah. So I'll maybe have to go back and check it out. But again,
Because
it's,
first impressions are everything.
oh, totally.
And I
Yeah.
gotta say, I wasn't blown away by the first images we saw of it.
Well, the issue too they have with the whole Thousand Planets thing is like when they pulled back at first and showed that kind of solar system. It's like, okay, if you say all of these planets are like heavily populated and dense, and you could go to like the 6 here, people will be like, only 6. But if you're like, now we have 1,000, it's like now it's like it's too scary. It's No Man's Sky.
It kind of
right?
reminds me of that. What is that zombie parkour game?
Where Dying Light.
There's over 500 hours of gameplay, and people are like, "Whoa, that's too much. What are you doing?"
Yeah, it's like, don't scare me here.
Yeah, it's like you're giving people too much. I would have said this: what you see here is only the beginning.
Yeah.
Just don't even say a number.
You know? Tip of the iceberg, baby. Tip of the iceberg.
I think it's going to be this. I think you're going to need materials and minerals and stuff for everything you do. You want ship parts. You want to build a bigger base, bigger ship, and all this stuff. You're going to need all of the mining and all this material. That's where you go to the barren planets for.
Yeah.
But there's also the story planets and story areas that you do that part too. And the game, it showed you leveling up your character, different professions and everything. Basically, all these places you go are going to be for XP to level up everything you're doing,
Yeah. Oh, very much so. And you know what, to be honest, like the facial animations looked like a step up. I think there's going to be a lot more step ups here, especially now with Microsoft, owning this and pushing it back. Like it gives me pause. It gives me more hope, though, because while the Fallout games and Skyrim games or the Elder Scrolls games have done super well in the past, they've never clicked with me, and they're just, it's usually like on a technical level where I'm like, this doesn't feel good, or this bug or whatever else, or I just didn't feel connected to the world. I'm hoping that's not the case here. And it seems like between, getting this kind of crew together and then like flying around and doing kind of spaceship battles and stuff, I was like, okay, there might be something here, like Mass Effectian.
Are we getting into like Mass Effect? Are we going to have relationships and marry people?
I don't know if it's to that level, but like Mass Effect didn't have like the space battles, did it? Like, I'm not saying that like over, rides the.
I think it was pretty romances, lame space battles.
If anything. Oh, you mean
I do know. I never played the Mass Effect games, but whenever I saw people driving around in that vehicle, it looked so lame to me.
That was on. Yeah, so that wasn't like a space battle. That was just like on the ground, like on their.
You're firing a turret.
Yeah, that was fine.
That didn't look cool.
It was just to break up the gameplay. I understand what you mean, but yeah, I don't know how deep the relationships will be with these people in the game. I doubt they'd be Mass Effect levels, because that would be a lot.
I'm hoping that we do get something like that, though. I'd like to have like a chef on my ship that he has certain character quirks that I learn to grow and love and that kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm hopeful, and I think again, because it'll be on Game Pass, I'll give it a shot if I still have Game Pass at that point. And it's going to be a ways out, though, and I think it was smart to delay it, because I think if they would have shown this now and said it's coming in November, a lot of people would have been like, they would have been like, I'm not sure. Like, and I know you said the 4K made it look better, but I still think there's a lot they can still do. Hopefully they've got the base there of the game, and they can really start to shape it up a bit. I almost at this point would say, like, instead of over 1,000 planets, it'd be nice if they had some sort of weird number that's like, we have 856, like, or something like that, where they just had like a weird.
We have 777 planets. Can you find them all? Like a challenge or something.
The YouTube videos, man, that would be made. People would be like, I found them all. I'd be like, there's missing one. Like,
I mean, he might have been hiding some stuff too. Like, it could have been like, there's a central mystery in this game. Will you be able to unsolve it? Or solve the mystery? And maybe, I know there's going to be a storyline through the game, right?
Yes, and I'm not sure if there's any sort of co-op in this.
If you pay attention in the trailer, the NPC mentions about an artifact you found.
Yes.
And there's this glowing kind of holographic thing on a table, and they're all looking at it. So there's something to do with some kind of artifact that, and I don't know if there's multiplayer, but that would be pretty sweet.
Yeah. Well, like you said before, I think there's going to be like the campaign planets, and there's going to be like the totally optional planets. And like Todd was saying, he's like, it's like our other games. It's like your story. If you don't want to do that campaign stuff, you can just like go do whatever else and then come back to it if you want to. Like, it's not a necessity.
there were some giant creatures in there, so there's going to be some kind of events with giant creatures you have to battle and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm just curious to see what I wanted to see, like kind of wackier guns, and this is why, like I've said in the past, this is why they show games usually like in the mid point, because you can show off a crazy gun or two, whereas like they showed really early on, like this is you with an auto rifle, like and that's it. And I was like, okay, like, you know, or like a laser cutter to like kind of get some minerals. I was like, all right.
They establish loot in boxes, you do lockpick and stuff.
Yeah, which is great.
So you're gonna get cooler weapons.
Yeah, I just want to see what those are, because that for me is like the okay, now I'm in. Like, show me some Ratchet and Clanky stuff. You know what I'm saying, baby? That's just what I look for, Jason. But yeah, I'm hoping it's great, and I know a lot of people have been waiting for it for a long time. And I think hopefully with Microsoft kind of watching out over them now with this kind of overhead, they're gonna take the time to really make this as amazing as it can be, and then just like, you know, Elder Scrolls 6 in 10 years, you know, like, or whatever it would be, or 5 years. It's just like, just wait.
Yeah, I gotta say I was pretty pleased with Microsoft's show. I know there were people that were like, they wanted to be like wowed.
Yeah.
They wanted to see Indiana Jones. They wanted to see Fable.
Yeah.
But as soon as they said, these games you will be seeing within the next 12 months, I thought that was really cool. But Fable they're going to be working on it for a while, so I can understand why they wouldn't show that.
Yeah.
The Indiana Jones game probably is going to come out in 2024. No point in showing that. It would have wowed us, yes, but they chose not to do that. They chose to show us games that we will see within 12 months.
Yeah, and I think, you know, having Starfield at the end, no matter what, it's like your dessert. Any good dessert can save a bad meal, and this show was good, and they just had this little thing at the end that like was a pretty a decent dive into this thing that's still a ways out. And I think they could have shown off little things. They could have shown a tease for Gears 6 or Banjo or whatever else if they're making that even. But I think all they needed
2025 Banjo-Kazooie. People would have been, oh my god!
Yeah.
But then when they think about it, it's kind of like when Sony showed the Wolverine trailer, everyone was freaking out. I was like, guys, this thing isn't coming out till 2025, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know what everybody's celebrating for. This thing is not coming out. But Sony was just like, we need something to keep people excited.
Yeah.
We gotta get everybody, you know, hyped. And they did, but when you think about it, it's like that game's not coming out for a long time, you know?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I will say this, though. I'm very glad that Microsoft's not only listening to the whole, like, kind of, they've not had enough Japanese titles on Game Pass or on Xbox in general, but also that they understand how these shows should, at least I like them run this way, where it's mostly all gameplay. It's not this smoke and mirrors, like, here's an amazing trailer for a game that's never going to come out. It's like, nope, here it is. Here's the game. It's coming out, you know, within the next 12 months.
Yeah.
So
like
that's
before
great.
The show, when you hear Phil was quoted saying, this is about gameplay. Like, they showed us a lot of gameplay and what things look like the best they could. You know, some things, you know, you can't with everything, but it was great that we got a majority of gameplay on stuff.
Yes, so keep it up, Xbox. Like the cut of your jib. Keep doing that sort of thing. Everybody can learn from this. I think there just needs to be more. If you're going to do these kind of digital events like this is a better way of doing it, especially if you have a lot to show off, because they just kept going. It was like world premiere, you know, Game Pass, like all this stuff was like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
They didn't introduce anything. It's just boom, boom, boom. I was like,
I had another game written down that I liked from the show that we didn't mention yet. It was the one called Ravenlock.
Ravenlock.
A 3D adventure with this girl. It kind of looked like voxel kind of animation, and she's got like a sword and she's battling things. Do you remember that one?
Oh, yeah. It looks like Alice in Wonderland, kind of.
Yeah. I thought that looked really cool and had a very distinct look that doesn't look like other games. So
I'm glad you brought it up. Cool. I'm sorry I didn't bring it up before. There's just so many things I didn't even mention today. I was like, we'll try to hit the big ones, but Ravenlock, I'm glad you brought it up. Were there any others that I forgot that you want to talk about?
Let's see. Flight Simulator, you can fly the Pelican.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly, dude. That was cool. I was like, hey.
Overwatch 2 did not care at all.
I'm excited for the new hero. I'm excited. Overwatch coming like October 4th, I think.
I just never played Overwatch, so I was just like, okay, you know, for people who are into that. You know?
You might like it if you had a team. That's the trick. You gotta have a team.
Now, a lot of people think that the best game at the show might have been Starfield or Redfall, but it was Ark 2 with Vin Diesel, Jimmy.
Dude, I'm glad you brought that up, because we were talking Jurassic World Dominion podcast that you're gonna like. You want to see them ride a dinosaur, put a saddle on something, and I
Yes.
knew early on in that trailer when I saw some dinosaurs, I'm like, oh, Vinny D's showing up, dude, and he shows up.
It's funny
he
because
grunts,
as you're watching, you're like, are they going to show him? Are they going to show him?
Just grunting.
Oh, there he is. It was
not
just so
speaking,
funny.
grunting. I was like, yes. That's
And
so
I gotta
cool.
say that the game Scorn makes my stomach hurt. I get it churns and I kind of don't feel so
It's
good.
finally coming out, man. It's finally.
So are you
coming
gonna
out.
play Scorn?
I don't know. It's not really my cup of tea, but maybe I would try it if people want to see it on stream.
I might try Minecraft Legends before I try Scorn.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Like the RTS coming from, well, kind of, sort of, not really RTS, but a strategy game coming from Minecraft.
Man,
Mojang.
they're really milking that Minecraft, aren't they?
Oh man, it just sells. It sells. I get it. I understand.
I always hear that Minecraft Dungeons is a lot of fun.
We could try it out.
It's like Diablo, right?
Yeah, that would be like a nice way to like try out if you like a Diablo style thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Think about it. Try to pick it up. Yeah, but again, I think Xbox did a good job, and I'm excited that like E3 still lives on in a way in the Summer Game Fests and all these other kind of press events that are popping up. There'll be more of these things down the road. Maybe I will enlist Jason to come back at some point for some of that stuff. And be like,
That would
Jason,
be awesome.
let's talk about Ubisoft. They did 45 minutes, and 40 minutes was Skull and Bones. No, they would not do that.
Skull
It'd be
and
amazing.
Bones.
They're like, we're going to show you 4 unedited matches of
What
Skull
is
and
that
Bones.
one game that we saw like a highlight reel to? I can't remember the name of it. It's highly animated space adventure with the animals also with Ubisoft.
Oh, you're talking about Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Will
I don't know
that
about
game
that.
ever be seen again?
I don't know, man. It's so weird. It's so weird because like I remember those trailers and they looked so cool, like the cinematic ones.
That
So I
was
like,
literally
oh.
that was the kind of trailer that they could have shown at the Xbox and been like, "This game will come out 10 years from now."
Yeah, I would appreciate that. Or when it's ready. I love when they say
There's
that.
no point in even talking about it, is it? Is there?
Yeah, I think it's just to kind of keep people invested or interested. You know,
How long ago was Beyond Good and Evil? That was years ago.
Long time ago.
I still think about it.
Yeah, I never played it, so can't attest to it. But yeah. Well.
Oh, and Grounded's finally coming out.
Yeah, well, or all the stuff. It's like finally exiting its pre or its beta phase, or it's going into 1.0. I was like, good for you.
And I got to say, Sea of Thieves does look like fun, but I'll probably never play it.
Yeah, I had my time with Sea of Thieves. It was fine. I just want more pirate games. Just more pirate games.
Skull and Bones, baby.
Skull and Bones, maybe our next one. Who knows? I'm just amazed that they're still making that thing. Either way, Jason, we could keep talking all night, but we should probably start to wind down here. I appreciate you hanging out with me and talking about all this glorious Xbox news. And like I said, I'll try to bring you back on for another one in the future if you're so keen.
Awesome. Video games.
Video games. Indeed, my friend. Everybody, thank you so much for listening in. I'm going to say goodbye to Jason after I say goodbye to you guys, but I appreciate you. Please let me know and let us know what were your favorite games that were shown off, or what was the one title that you thought for sure was going to show up. Was it Banjo 3E? Was that the one? I want you to post it. Let me know about it. That'd be great. And a huge thank you to our patrons. If you want to support the show in a financial way, please consider doing that. You don't have to do any of that, though. I just appreciate you making time for us today. If you're going to do one thing, I would just say share the show around. That would be huge, like on Twitter and stuff. That really does help. Either way, until next time, just remember to adapt and overcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.